Awesome. So we got all our notifications switched off, which is good. Good to connect with you.
You too.
Yeah. How can I support you, Peta?
As I wrote in my little notes, I think my biggest thing at the moment is my business and getting that up and running. I go up and down with it. It's I've been doing a lot of research into marketing and what that means, and I think trying to feel okay with it rather than actually feeling okay with it. There's like a real deep level of uncomfortability with putting myself out there in a way that I never have before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the bit where I have to go to work, I've got my role, it's set out for me. I kind of know what I have to do. And this is like, I've just learned these amazing skills of holistic counselling and coaching and creative arts therapy, but I know I can do that. But it's the different aspect is I haven't really used social media a lot, or even I don't do selfies, or it's not that kind of that. Yeah, haven't really been that kind of person, so I'm having to learn how to be visible.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very challenging. Yeah. Yeah, I find it really challenging.
So to this point, because I know you finished. When did you finish? I know you finished a few courses, one after the other. So I know there's certain courses that you finished a while back, and then you finished the holistic counseling probably a month or two ago, a couple of months, maybe a bit, something like that. Yeah. So yeah. So have you, because I know that you do meditation, like you've done classes before, all that sort of stuff. So like where are you at the moment with everything? Because there's a lot of parts to you.
Yes, there's many parts to me. So I'm still teaching meditation classes.
Yeah.
I've changed their format a little. It's a very small class at the moment. I think I've described it to you once before, but I'll just for here say it again. Part of my Buddhist or mindfulness tradition that I've been studying for 20 years. So I did a separate course to learn how to be a teacher for that. So it's a little bit of a different spin on mindfulness and meditation, but it does interact a lot, obviously, and a lot of the holistic counselling is very in alignment with the Buddhist teachings as well. So I'm integrating both in those sessions, but I'm going, I'm just taking my Buddhist mindfulness teacher hat off for a second. And when I learned about holistic counselling, this is what I perceive this situation to be like. So I am kind of integrating them, but I do that by dana because it feels really like an authentic way to do it, because my teachers have done it that way, and it is passed down tradition. So I like doing that way. I don't make any money out of it whatsoever. And in fact, sometimes I have to pay for my hall hire out of saved money, which, that'd be good for that to change. But it's just, again, it's getting myself out there in the marketing aspect of that part of it as well. But it's two different things that I'm doing. The other side with the holistic counselling and creative arts therapy, which I probably completed that well over a year ago, the creative arts therapy. I did offer some free creative arts therapy sessions for the flooded community in Lismore, and they were really good. I ended up not having a lot of people, but one group I had 4 and one group I just had 1. And so the one was like very much a therapy session that went for 2 hours, but it just had creative arts therapy in it. I then had one with 4, and that went for 3 hours and was more rounded and different. Yeah, just very different, but really positive and amazing, and loved them.
Mhm.
I have one client that I'm seeing probably once every 2 to 3 weeks. She's booked 3 sessions with me twice, so I'm on the last of the 6. And I've had one client as a one-off client as well. I ended up doing another course on how to develop a workshop with Isabel.
Mhm.
Um, it didn't really gel with me at the time. I had a death in the family and some difficulties in the personal life. And so at the time, I just couldn't take in more learning. So I've put that to the side and plan to pick that up again and look at it a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with all of that.
Yeah. So you're talking about, your meditation and the Buddhist sort of meditations that you're teaching and the mindfulness as 2 separate things. So you were pretty clear on the fact that they are 2 separate things. Do you want to keep them like that?
I think I could, in the place where I'm doing it now, it is a very Buddhist-based space, let's say. It's like actually been built for that purpose. And the local elders or teachers around this area it's all Buddhist meditation. And yeah, I'd probably keep that there.
Yep.
I'm open to trying something else somewhere else, or I could do a different style of meditation on a different day, but not call it insight meditation or Buddhist meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I could explore a different style, which would still be my style that I tend to use, but maybe integrating more of what I learned through the holistic counselling and coaching and meditation therapies.
Yeah. So like in an ideal world, what would you like to sort of see on the other side? So not the Buddhist mindfulness meditation, because it feels like you've got that where you want to have that, but this other part, do you have a clear sort of vision of what you're wanting to do, or are you playing with that still?
I think I have a clear vision. Yeah. Yep. I would like to work 3 days a week, pretty hard, like in terms of face-to-face time. I want to keep a simplistic lifestyle so I can keep up to date with my own practices. I don't desire a lot of money, like I desire quality and really good connections. And I have a strong desire to be in the community, helping community.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to make enough money to be able to support myself and live comfortably and eat organic food and that kind of thing, really look after myself. And yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have my own house and that kind of thing. So I don't have a lot of expenses.
Yeah.
And I'd like to I think I get a lot out of one-on-one work, and I think I can do good work with one-on-one work. I feel very comfortable in that. And I also enjoy group work, and I'm really starting to see the benefits of integrating creativity in either one-on-one work or in the group work. I find it really beneficial. So I really want to have that as part of my thing.
Yeah.
And also offering, because I also studied naturopathy and nutrition. So I guess integrating a counselling or coaching approach with the creativity and the nutrition and naturopathy, kind of looking at a holistic lifestyle kind of package. And possibly eventually running some short online courses where I can have something kind of going in the big background while I'm seeing one-on-one clients, and maybe doing some groups or workshops here and there. Yeah, I like to mix it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 days a week. Yeah. So it's pretty clear to me. And it sounds like you want to do some group work and you also want to do some one-on-one, but you don't want to do one or the other. You kind of want to have like a mix in between, and obviously bringing in all your knowledge and everything that you've learned and your experience and things like that. And I'm sure the Buddhist part will also blend into that, because it's just part of who you are, you know, even if you're not going to specifically talk about it in those words, it will be, you know, those teachings and everything, like you say, it blends in with everything that you've learned, at least through our college. I would imagine that it would sort of all blend together quite nicely. So my question is, what, if anything, and that's okay, like I know you said you had a couple of one-on-one clients, but what else have you done so far? I know you said you had a workshop a while back, but like in the present moment, is it mostly just the one-on-one clients, just a few of them that you have, or is there anything else going on right now besides that?
No, not other than the Buddhist meditation. I haven't done.
Okay.
And I am doing some social media stuff, trying to get used to posting and what that feels like. And I've been doing a lot of study actually into how to market. I've spent like most of last week watching things about marketing, trying to get my head around it. And then I have actually approached a disability support agency. This is the one other thing I did. It was kind of I got a lead into two different things. One was a venue that I could possibly use for creative arts sessions, and they were both through this place I was volunteering at, a creative art space they call it. And it kind of like kept having these blockages. It's like the lady didn't get back to me when I emailed her, and then I went in and it was closed, and then she put a Facebook post up that said she was looking for people to rent her space, and so I messaged her on Messenger, which I actually had to learn how to do because I didn't know how to you know, because it was a post that didn't have, you know, you could just directly do it. So I was like, I'm learning all the time. And then she got back to me, said, yeah, I'll message you back on Friday. And then she never did. And I was just like, oh, just, it's not flowing. And then there was this other thing with the disability support agency that someone else also told me about. And I just emailed them and said, oh, you know, this is what I like to do. Do you think that's of interest? And they said, I'll come in and we'll have a chat. And it was just really easy. And it was, you know, an hour chat. And then they pretty much offered me a support role position in the disability sector. So I started kind of studying a whole heap of NDIS stuff. And they also said I could possibly do some creative arts therapy sessions, like from my business side of things. So it could be like a little side hustle is the support work, and then my business is the main thing, you know. But I just said, you know, like I'm not available all the time. I wouldn't mind doing a day's work just to be out in the community, but I want to do more of my business. So that's something else I've been studying, and there was quite a lot of things to do to get that in place as well.
And did something come out of that is that going to continue? Are you going to continue down that? Okay.
Yeah, I've got the last, like I've just been collecting documents, and I've got a first aid certificate to complete tomorrow. And that's the last document they need. So they said they're willing to wait. I could have done one earlier, but they said, oh no, that's okay. Just do it when you had it booked in. And so then that document goes through and the process starts, because they pretty much offered me a role on the spot when they met with me. So
okay,
yeah.
So you'll be hired by them to do that, and you'll do, maybe, is it some one-on-one work or group in groups then, or something like that? that you'll be doing?
Possibly both, they said. I can do some one work, like in terms of support work, and then maybe sometimes more than one, and then sometimes more like my business aspect, bringing it in. And so they're two different kind of streams. One's an actual job where I'm employed by their company, and the other one's more like it's my business and they're employing me to bring in a workshop or a weekly dance thing or something like that.
Yeah, okay, got it. So there's a few things going on that you're doing. So out of all these things, planning on your own workshops, doing this and NDIS stuff, and then your one-on-one client, what feels more fun right now?
Yeah. I think the funnest, fun. Yeah, I think the funnest thing is I really like the experience of interacting with the creative arts. So either one-on-one or in the groups, that's probably been my funnest thing, is seeing what comes out of, someone drawing something or painting something and exploring that.
Yeah.
I just find it completely fascinating and enjoyable to hear, like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's just like, I just see this, whatever they've done, and I go, wow, okay, what does that mean? And it's just really exciting. And yeah. And I can imagine this being fun because I really like dancing. And they said that dancing could be something for this disability support agency, that could be, because they haven't got dancing, they've already got art therapy, drawing, that kind of thing. They said dancing could be good. So in the high cat, we did a dancing component and then did some creativity afterwards, like a drawing just to finish off. So I really liked that combination. So I'd love to offer something like that.
Okay.
Because dancing is beautiful and wonderful and I love it.
Yeah, great. So it seems like, that is, I can see your eyes lit up when you start talking about creative arts and, artistic expression and what happens to individuals when they use that part of themselves. So I'm curious, what would happen if that would become, we're not taking anything else away here, but if that would become your sort of main point right now, and everything that you do will kind of stem from that, even as that would be your umbrella, what would that feel like?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think, like, I've done my business cards and everything, and I think for some reason I think about the holistic counselling being the big thing, but when I'm playing with it, I do think that the creative arts is what makes me feel happy inside, and I've seen what it does for other people. And there's a difference between just talk therapy and using something else to explore and seeing what the difference is. So yeah, I do agree. I think it is like probably more, and I think it's my own experience too. When I did the high cat course, although some of the content, it was interesting, it was really interesting, but what I did notice is, because I wasn't working at the time and I could sink into the creative arts again, because I hadn't done that when I was doing my working life for the previous 6 years as much, a little bit, but not as much as I usually do. And just getting back into it, I was so happy. I was just like, because we had to do all these creative projects and just exploring these parts of yourself that when you're in a kind of a job with computers and different things, you don't get to explore. And it was just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why expressive art is so amazing. I mean, that's why we are hosting those type of courses, because they are really, they really do help you connect on a totally different level. And I think in today's world, that's very, very needed, because we are very heady. We are sort of encouraged to go up into our head a lot, and which causes us to leave our body, almost, as in we're not in our body, we're kind of in our head, and we're on the screen, or, you know, we kind of leave our body. So even your mindfulness and all your teachings in mindfulness, you know, it's like that's your way in to connect those two as well, isn't it? You know, like you can connect that sort of the teachings of mindfulness into your creative arts as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like from that point of view, I mean, you're talking about NDIS and offering a course from your own business sort of thing. What would happen if you would offer the same, like create that course and offer it through that, but also, you know, even if you have to cater it a little bit, offer it outside of that, as in offering those sort of either workshops or 4-week programs or whatever you're looking to do, and see what happens there.
Yeah. Yep. And it's easy to reuse content too, or have a similar idea. I mean, it's never going to be the same because it doesn't matter what you think, you can have your structure laid out for you. But I just find that everything is actually just how it is. Like it's the day, it's the moon, it's the way the weather is, it's how the people come with all their things and everything. You have a structure and you have it ready to go, but then you have to kind of be also able to juggle what arises as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could have the structure easily, you know, changing for different cohorts of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Would that be an easy thing for you to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
What would the benefit, if you would do that, what would the benefit be?
Well, I believe that I think the people that would come would you know, experience joy, possibly release, like letting go. I like to encourage also some connection time, so there's time for connection, and you know, if they want to talk either through drawing or through their body or through their mouth, they can say, you know, like, I really like to hold space for whatever people need to say as well, whichever form that comes out in. And yeah, I think all those things kind of create a really nice, yeah, it's just beautiful to do it and hold it. And it's also beautiful to think that other people can be benefiting from it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another benefit from my own experience, that when you do workshops and courses like that, very often the people that join those courses end up being your one-on-one clients, because they get to know you, they get to connect with you, you know, and they'll be more intrigued to want to work more with you, and they want to do sort of their own inner work on a different level. So when you do things like that, you know, you're putting yourself in front of people that are potentially very interested in doing more of that work. There's a reason why they join these form of courses and workshops. They're open. There's a part of them that's open to this experience. And a lot of those people end up being your one-on-one clients. So it kind of tends to feed into your one-on-one sessions as well. So that there's another added benefit to it. Another one is the fact that, you know, the people in those courses pay less than they would pay if they would join you in one-on-one sessions, right? So it's there's less of an investment, but for you, obviously, it works out being an investment overall, because together they, you know, the money becomes more, right? So there's all these positives. You know, there's less of a commitment from their behalf as well, as in, you know, it can feel quite daunting to contact somebody and say, hey, I want some one-on-one sessions, to, I'm going to join this group and see what happens and have some fun. And, you know, they might bring a friend, you know, sort of, you can keep it on the lighter side. And the people that are ready to go deeper, they will feel so comfortable because you will have held the space for them to be able to start that sort of unraveling that journey within themselves. So there's a lot of benefits to starting with group work in that, and you have so much to offer in that world, and you've already held meditations and group meditations and mindfulness meditation group, all that sort of stuff. So it's natural for you. It's just that you're using different tools, but you're experienced in that field already.
Yeah. I think one thing I noticed was there was like a deadline when the Heart Space, the volunteer place I was volunteering for, they were closing down, and I asked them about I just came up with, I'm like, oh, I've noticed some people are wanting to kind of talk to me a lot, and they're wanting to explore things with me when they come in, because I just listen to them. And then I'm like, what would it be like for me to hold a couple of workshops? And that's how I came about doing the free workshops, because I can't do paid workshops in a volunteer environment. So no one else is getting paid, kind of thing. So I was like really happy to do it. But then they didn't contact me back about it. And then they said, oh, we're actually going to shut the shop. So I had this time frame in which to do it. Like I had probably 4 or 5 weeks before they were closing, and I just went dunk, 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 and just organized it and got on top of it, did it on Facebook, and it was just done. And it's interesting how that pushes people, pushed me along. I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't a struggle, but when I have time to kind of ruminate over it, it seems that I'll just ruminate about it forever, Yep. And it's like, I don't know what it is. And then I don't know about this, and I don't know what you think about this, but I'm a bit conflicted about the Lismore area at the moment, because that's where my tendency to want to work is. But there's so much trauma there, which makes me think that it's needed. But I know that people are struggling so much financially because of, all of the houses, a lot of them are still, living in caravans, and, the buybacks that they're going to get, or the improvements to their homes that they're going to get, aren't going to be enough to kind of give them another start in life, because they were in that lower socioeconomic bracket. It's like what they get for their buybacks. They bought in that area because it was affordable, and now they can't afford to move into the next area without going into a massive amount of debt again. And so it's like this, there's an uncomfortability with me asking for, not that I don't think I'm worth it, but it's like I just don't know if it's the right area. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like it's a bit,
yeah,
just don't know.
Yeah, I get it. And thinking creatively a lot around this, because I know you're imaginative and things like that, there could maybe be ways to get around that, just at the top of my head, there might be ways for you to offer these sort of workshops in different areas, or for certain people, and this is the charge. And then because you're maybe charging more in those areas, you can go really low, or even do volunteer work with the people that are not in a position to be able to financially afford it, but would really benefit. So sometimes we got to play with these ideas and go, the more income and I earn in this area or in this way, I will be able to give back over here, which is a really nice. So, and sometimes that helps us with the idea of charging accordingly for what we do as well, because we know that it's not all about just how can I earn more or get more. It's actually, because I do that, I can then pass that on. And there might be something around that you can play with. Like, what's happening with you when I'm talking about this? Just checking in.
Oh, completely resonate with what you're saying. It's exactly how I feel about it. And I just, you pretty much just say how I feel.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel about it. Yeah.
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 So,
Like, it's, if someone can afford something, it's like in a way they need, I recognize this because I've listened to you a lot talk about this kind of particular topic, and I resonate with it now. It took me a while to get into that headset, but like, I've got cousins and stuff that are earning massive amounts of money, and I just know if I said to them, oh, pay $100 for a counseling session, they'd be like, what? It's like $400. Like, it's that kind of
yeah.
difference in, like, oh, that's too cheap. It's like, why, what's wrong with it, or something like that. Like, it's all about, this level thinking, and then where people are at in their lives, what the value is in terms of financial, like, oh, that's too expensive. You couldn't possibly charge that, because they don't want to pay that amount because they've got less money. So I do really, having those different types of people in my life with really low socioeconomic and then really high, I get, because I know the things they do, that they're going to pay different amounts for things and see different value if you have it too cheap.
Yeah.
Actually,
100%. Absolutely spot on. And I know you've heard me talk about this so many times. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do one or the other. Like, you can blend this and have really fun with this. So you don't have to focus on supporting one and not the other. Not at all. You can literally use your creative imagination and create something from this. Like, just hearing you speak now, I got this idea of like a pay it forward. Imagine like a pay it forward system. So, this is how much it is. This is what we're doing. And as you're doing that, actually, you're helping one person do this, other course for people in troubled areas, or specifically maybe in Lismore even. Maybe you want to really specify it. But I don't know, there's something about like a pay forward system or something that's really, it just popped up. But
I've had that idea.
Yeah.
I've actually had that idea. Yeah.
There you go. I'm tapping into something that you've thought of. Awesome. Okay, I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, well, there you go. Obviously, there's something ready to be pulled down here. Okay, so talk to me about that. Is it that you've been thinking about this? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, I've done a very basic website, because I tried doing a more complex one and it was just, far out, so it took me ages to develop my very simple website. And I'm, like, I think I just can't figure out how you do that in terms of, I don't know, like, I think, like, I like to have something, all these different things on my website, but it's how do you then say, oh, if you pay this, I guess I haven't really developed any course to say, here, this is what I'm doing. And then once I do that, how do I advertise that? And I'm thinking, Facebook ads, putting it in local groups, doing all these things, and then, hopefully getting enough people. It does seem that it's hard to get.
I know you're going ahead now into the production of the whole thing. Like, okay, so if we just backtrack,
back to the pay forward,
yeah. So if we backtrack, this is about, probably in the beginning creating the idea of it, and the whole pay it forward. I mean, you can obviously you play with that, and you'll have ideas around that, but maybe that's part of your business, as in maybe that's something that you have running through a lot of your offerings, for example, or maybe it's a one-off thing that you're doing, as in this particular program, this is what happened, or for every X amount of dollars, this is what happened, or for, I don't know, like something. So it's something that, because it's aligning with your values, isn't it? With your beliefs on, in Sweden, we have a word called lagom, which means not too much and not too little. There's no English word for it. It's kind of enough, but it's not, it's enough is finite. This is like the balance in between too much and too little. And our whole system is basically, our country is built up on the idea of logom. It's the whole idea as if, so abundance is not singular. It's not about me being abundant. It's about when I'm abundant and you're abundant, the community becomes abundant and we all rise together. So it's like that's kind of what we're talking about here. It's kind of, it's in your values. Like that's one of my values, right? And you might have different words for it, but it's that whole idea of you know, cliche, when you rise, I rise, but it's the whole idea of when we all thrive, the community thrives. It's not about more for you and less for you. It's about working towards finding the continuous balance in between the too much and too little. It's not a destination. It's a continuum on that sort of balance, you know, finding that sort of in between. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. 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 Yes. I think yeah, systemically, like I think of that systemically, like you're talking about systemically for Sweden. I do think about that systemically for my business as well, because it's like been with me from the very beginning. Like, because I come from a community services background, working with people who don't have enough money to feed themselves or pay their bills or whatever, or don't have houses, or, you know, or shelter or clothes or whatever. Like it's hard for me to go from there to here, you know, like, so it is like, how do I do that? Like, you know, I need to make enough money to survive, but I want to still help these people and not, yeah. So that has been in my thinking from the very beginning. So I feel like systemically, if we looked at a business like a country, you could kind of go, well, I do want that wound through all of the parts of my business, if it's possible, you know. Yeah.
It is. It's 100% possible. Yeah. Because I know that because I mean, I can see it in the world. Like I come from a country that's built up on it. So if it's possible in a country, yeah, I'm sure it's possible in a business. But it's this. It works. It works in businesses. It works in countries. It's never an easy straight road. And it's like, because it's not a destination. It's not like this is how it is and it's sustainable and it's finite and it will stay like this forever. It's the continuum of holding that balance in between the too much and the too little. And you get to choose what that looks like for you all the time. You get to change that continuum all the time as well, because it will continuously change. So, you know, your abundance is also important, but it's the continuum. It's that idea of, I think in South Africa, they have Ubuntu. I think it's this same idea as in when I thrive, you thrive. It's that whole concept. So I know that it exists in different cultures. But I think there's something there around really honing in on that whole concept, because I know you talk about it a lot in different words, right? Around how to sort of balance that. So because you talked about, now I'm going to go up here and I've been working down here. Well, maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's just, you know, you had to kind of do that. You don't have to go all the way up there and go, oh, I'm not doing that anymore because now I'm not going to help these people. That's not who you are. You want to, it's all inclusive. You just have to creatively find ways and balance in that world, so that you're earning enough to live your life and be healthy and happy and you know, abundant in however, and you can play with that however you want to, and then you're sharing and passing that on to your community, the people around you, the people you help.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels really good. You've understood me well. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to describe, you know, because it's not so, it sounds simple when you say it back to me, but it's like, oh, how do I, and then putting it in a framework, I guess, is the thing, like how to weave that into your framework. So yeah, I'll actually just write a little note here about that.
Yeah.
what did you call it? Pay it forward. Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good. Mm.
And you
Yeah.
know, thinking about your website and all that sort of stuff, like I wouldn't, you know, lots of people are very successful without having fancy schmancy, super special websites. But I get that almost idea of a website that's very, I'm not going to say charity, but the idea that people build a charity website, as in, you know, people understand, you know, when you go on it and they tell you about, you know, when you purchase this, this is what happens, or, you know, that idea of like becoming part of a community, by being part of your community that is also paying it forward. So it's when you're joining and when you're doing your inner work and you're working on yourself, you're actually helping to pay it forward to other people. So it kind of becomes a community of people paying it forward. So it's not look at me, what I'm doing and how great I am to help other people. It's look at this, look at what we're doing. You know, by doing this together, this is the changes we can make. So it becomes about the quest, and less about ourselves, which might help you if you're finding it difficult to talk about yourself and look what I'm doing. It's sometimes that can be really difficult for someone that's not naturally used to talking about themselves. But then you don't have to do that to do something professionally and or to promote what you're doing. You can say, instead of look at me, you can say look at this, and talk about what you're passionate about.
Yes.
And that becomes your marketing. That becomes your, so it's purpose driven, as in, that's not the right word. It's mission driven, I should say. Because your mission is somewhere along the lines of this idea that everybody deserves to be healthy mentally. Everybody deserves a shot to have a good mental well-being. And it's kind of how you're doing it, because you're supporting people over here that's also helping to pay it forward over here, and it becomes this sort of mission. There's a mission statement in there somewhere.
Yeah. It's really good food for thought. And it's interesting that I haven't, like, my website isn't created like that at all. It's no, it's like I've written about myself and I've written what I want to do, like how I want to help people and what's on offer, and you know, I put in what I'm doing, but it's like I don't know how many people see that website. So it's because I haven't started advertising or anything either. So but I really like that. I really like the idea of look at what we are doing together, because I live on an intentional community, so I get that. Like I actually get that, because I've had to let go of, in some ways, of the things that I wanted so I can be part of a community and live in a really beautiful place where yeah, we have to let go of things all the time.
Yeah.
To be community centered rather than self-centered. We all have to do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I bet you can write about that. I bet you have anecdotes about that. I bet you have personal experience around the difficulties sometimes of letting go and what happened to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. So those are the things that you can share, because it aligns with your mission.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. It's just like put a completely different spin on how I'm thinking of it. So it's like, yeah, but it's really good. Very interesting. Yeah. I like that.
So at this precise moment, you know, it's very tempting to go into, oh, how can we do this? How can we, how can we make this happen? How can we create the steps and all that sort of stuff? But then I also see this somber kind of silent energy of you sort of just embracing all this new way of thinking. And there's so much benefit in staying in that space for a little bit and marinate in those things, because I know that all those things that you need to do and get done, even though you might not feel like, how will I make that happen? And how will I know what the next step is? And I know that when all of this aligns, those steps are going to be the easiest thing, because you're just going to take one step forward because you're driven by something else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do have that tendency to kind of, I have two tendencies. I have one that kind of steps back and does marinate on things, and then I have another one that goes forward at such a high speed that it doesn't take everything into account because it's so excited. They're funny that they are in the same person.
Yeah. But that's the beautiful. Yeah, it's that, again, it's back to that balance, right? It's like, that's the beautiful part of you. Those polar parts that, makes you, Peta. That's, there's part of you that's like the caretaker and, that thing. And then you've got the imaginary sort of fast forward, let's make this happen. I've got loads of ideas, and you want to kind of action it. Like, that's beautiful. It's, again, it's that lagom. It's the balance. It's finding the groove, the flow in those sort of what looks like polar parts that actually make you.
Yeah, but I think it's wise that you say just sit in that, because I know with this business thing, because I've been so excited about it on so many different levels and just racing forward. And then I'm like, oh, I wish you didn't do that. Printed out all the business cards. Did I really want that phone, that extra phone? Did I really want that email? Like, it's kind of like,
yeah.
And then it's printed. 500, if you rush forward, you kind of then stuck with this thing. And then it's good to actually go, okay, I've got this thing brewing, and there's just a tendency to want to run forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I there is like a benefit in sitting and just, okay, allow that to percolate.
Yeah.
We're making a nice strong tea here.
Yeah. And the percolation doesn't have to happen for weeks on end, because chances are that you might lose your momentum then. But it could be as simple as, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to give myself 24 hours to just, and then I'm going to go and action it. If it still feels good, then I'm going to action it. So it doesn't have to be an extended period of time. You have to sort of process, and because chances are, you've got that drive in you, and I recognize that really well. We want to keep that energy because that's passion. That's you being driven by creativity and imagination, and there's so much gifts in that. So you don't want to just go, I'll just leave that for a couple of weeks and see what happens. No, you want to ride that wave, but you want to make sure that you're not sort of riding before the wave. So the wave's trying to catch up with you. It's like, you have to ride with the wave. And that's always the challenge as a driven individual.
Yeah, I know. Oh dear. It's very funny. Oh.
So, I want to share with you something. That some people are totally into this. If you're not, that's totally cool. But I'm playing with these new cards that I've created. Embrace your inner children, and it's all about our emotional self, or the different parts of ourselves. Instead of inner child, it's we've got lots of inner children, lots of characters and emotions and things like that inside of ourselves, and I'm playing around with them a lot. And lately I've I've drawn a few cards for each client before we get on the call, with no assumption or anything. I just pull them and see what happens, and then they're just there. If it relates and connects, it's really cool, and if not, but they're pretty accurate very often. So the cards I drew for you today was imaginative and curious, which I think you actually used the words imaginative and curious, or imaginative anyway. Like there's a lot going on, you have a lot of things on. So I thought that was really cool. And then I also pulled the caretaker child. So it kind of feels like they're very connected to what's been brought up for you today. So I just thought I'd share that with you, because sometimes that can be quite you can believe in this or not believe in this, but I think, we're all connected, we're all energy, right? And when I pulled imaginative, curious, and caretaker, I thought, well, caretaker kind of makes sense because I know you, Peta. I know that you're a caretaker. So that made sense to me. But the imaginative and the curious, I was like, I'm really curious around that. Where does that? Because I see you as the somber, taking your time. Like this sort of ray of relaxation around you. And then as you started speaking, I'm realizing, there's this other part of you, this sort of imaginative and curious, and wanting to sort of embrace life and get out there and make things happen. So I thought I'd share that with you,
It's spot on, really, I think. And very interesting, because it's a similar way when I do a session, I like to just sit before, and this is the the relaxation, trying to kind of just allowing whatever's going to arise, really. I don't have control of anyone else, only myself. And even in some ways I don't even have control of some of those things. But they're just really good cards, actually, because I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm filling myself with all these things so I can create. And I have become very curious, but it almost feels like the direction is not quite in alignment with how my imagination. It's too kind of structured or something. I need more flexibility, and that, so that imagination's coming up in that way. When I'm hearing and having the conversation with you, I'm going, that all that other stuff is, it's just information, but it's not getting to the core of actually what I want to do, and how I'm going to pursue this, if that makes sense. And I think moving into the future, and like I have been curious, because I mean, like, how do I do anything? Because I have no idea. Like, I just was a completely social media ban up until 6 months ago, almost. Like, or when I started the course, I started looking a little bit, but I've just been like, no, I'm not interested. And now, like, when you do get on, you get a little bit caught in things, because there is some good things on social media, and then it's like, ew, and then you feel yuck, and then you're like, got to try and figure out. So there's a curiosity, and then there's like an aversion and all that stuff. And like tapping into that caretaker, like that's what I feel very much before you do a session with anyone or anything. Like, I love that you did that. It brought tears to my eyes that you did that. Like, it's quite beautiful. Like, it's a very intentional way of holding space for someone. Like, you're like, I'm thinking about that person, and I do this too. Like, I light the sage and just purify myself, and try and bring in what's the best thing that's going to happen through this session. And whether it's a group of people or whether it's one person, whatever it is, let's just hold space for whatever is best, what the next best thing is to come through. And so I love that you did that. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I'm glad I'm so I just love how it sort of tied in with what we've been talking about. And that's why I like to share it in the end, because if you share it in the beginning, it's not the same, because we get caught up in things. So it's just, and I'm totally open to it being relevant or not irrelevant, but I find that doing this, it's pretty much spot on a lot of the times. There's a question on the imaginative child, which is kind of what we spoke about, but the question is, how can you nurture your imagination and use it to manifest your vision? And I think it's that idea of, how can you have fun? How can you play with this? How can you move towards fun with all of this? Because sometimes, the idea of fun sort of releases that imagination. It gives you that freedom to, I can do this or I can do that. And it doesn't have to be, just because I say it, doesn't have to be that I set it in stone. How can I have a little bit of fun with this? Bringing in some of that fun, flexibility. How can I do that? Like, living into that question might be fun for you to do when you're moving into this sort of next chapter.
Yes. Because, like, if you've got that energy of fun, even if people are feeling, distressed or upset, and you've got kind of a lighter energy, like, you don't, for one, take on their stuff as much, and two, they'll be drawn to you more because they feel like they're kind of in a safer space. Because if you're just like kind of down and like hold it too heavy too, if you've got more like, I don't know, it's like, I'm just feeling these are the energetic movements of it, but it's like, there's some movement, or it's not just, because, people can get together and just, and it all gets very heavy and it doesn't feel enjoyable to be around.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And, bringing that into your own experience with, marketing, social media. How can I have fun with this? It doesn't have to, who says that it has to be in a particular way? What do you want to do with it? How much do I need to hang out on social? How much do I actually need to hang out? Maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't particularly want to hang out on social media that much, and you more like to nurture relationships and physical connections and all that stuff. And maybe it's finding tools and ways to do that. There are many, many, many people, me included, that I use social media, but I don't build my practice on social media. I can share things and use it, but I have not built my practice on social media. I haven't actually used it that much. I've dabbled in it, thinking I've got to do this because this is how you're supposed to do it, until I realized, you know what? No, you're not actually. And the truth is, looking back, it never happened like that. It happened brick and mortar, starting courses, offering courses to the community. A lot of those people became my private clients. Then I did another course, received more clients, then all that, and it all kind of unfolded. Even the college started as a face-to-face interaction in the community, and then it grew. So you don't have to do any of that, and you can still be very successful.
Well, that's a relief.
And what would that look like, right? Wow, that's interesting. That's
way more exciting.
Right. Freedom. I can see you loosening up already. Honestly, I promise you, and I know lots and lots of people that are doing it this way. In fact, I'm going to LA in 3-4 weeks' time, into a community of people. Pretty much all of these people have got very big, busy practices, working in lots of different areas, but in mental well-being. And I don't know if, like, I'm sure they've got websites, but they've built their practice brick and mortar, like all these people. So it's fully possible to do it. I know it because I've seen it, and I keep seeing it all the time. So, maybe that's you.
Yeah. It's a very funny world, the whole social media world. It's yeah.
Yeah. And, you know,
I'm a
you
people
can take
person.
the parts. You can take the parts that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
use your your inner radar to figure out what works for you there. And yes, you can. You do. There's nothing that says don't trust what the marketer says. If you know all the advertisements around marketing, you are listening to marketers selling their programs so that you will pay them in order to learn how to market the way that they do. But if that's not who you are, that there are lots of different ways to do this. You do not have to do it that way. There are lots of ways.
Yeah, I guess it's a way that you resonate with and feel very comfortable with. That's what I think I find the difficulty with, because it's not like, even when I had to do a little bit of marketing when I guess for the program I used to run in the community sector, and I didn't even really like it then. Like, even I don't really even like it's like I just want to work with people, and I just in a way wish all that stuff would work itself out. But it's like I don't mind building relationships and having conversations. It's just yeah, like try it. Yeah, and I think I've heard this too, the selling of something. But if it's just giving information, it doesn't really matter. It's like, oh, I'm just giving information.
Yeah.
But
and you
there's
know,
something but there's trying, you know, because you are trying to do something, you are trying to get a sale on some level. You want someone to work with you, and it's not out of, you know, a horrible thing for them. Like, you want it to benefit them, and it will. But there's kind of like it's this funny thing around money. It's like, I think it's a really long, something way back for me from the ancestors.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure that will come up as we're working together. That might, you know, if it's meant to come up, I'm sure that will make itself seen, you know. And it is a very common thing, right? You're not alone with struggling with those things. We all have levels of that, of our relationship to money and things like that. So I'm sure that will come into our conversations in the future as well. For now, though, what's your insight? What's the one insight you have from today?
I think it is that, hard to put this into words. It's something around the community. The feeling of the community is in a way more impactful than an individual. Like, it's the we and making it a we rather than an I. It takes the pressure off somehow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And maybe the I is the mission that you're standing along with, and the we is the community that makes that mission happen.
Yeah.